And I haven't introduced myself, but I'm member of Nippon Trading International. We help people invest anywhere in Japan, a lot more passive income kind of properties than the hands-on stuff that a lot of these people do. But we're everything kind of related to real estate in Japan. So feel free to, they'll pass me the mic if there's anything they want me to answer. All right. So Q&A panel. Anything that you want to ask from the streaming people as well? Any questions that were not answered during the day? Now is the time to float them to anyone. I'll let the people who haven't spoken today yet just do a quick introduction like I just did. So I'll pass it on from Chai to Matt.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm Chai Kanda. I'm the CEO of Shiki Properties. We are a Kyoto-based short-term rental management company and real estate broker. So looking forward to speaking tomorrow, a little bit more lengthy session. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Matt Ketchums, founder and CEO of Akias with a Z. We do search, due diligence, brokerage, and then also a lot of development advisory. And I'll be speaking tomorrow at 1:15, so come on down.
Hi, I'm Shumatsu Post, co-founder of Akia Hub, founder of PostFI. I help foreigners buy property, houses, especially in Japan. And I invest myself as well.
Brett.
Hello, I'm Brett Lee. I'm a co-founder, CEO of Akia Hub. I help people buy houses in Japan. Yeah, we built a pretty awesome platform that I'm happy to give a talk about tomorrow and let you guys see what we got cooking.
And just before we start, I'll just let you know, right now, this moment is your last chance to book tickets for the gala dinner, which is taking place at 6:30 at Andy's Brit Izakaya kind of culinary institution. So just get on your phone, summit.realestate.jp, buy tickets if you want a gala dinner ticket. Now is technically, physically, logistically the last possible chance to get a ticket for the dinner. All right, questions? Raise your hands or give it to me from the stream. There's one right here. Question.
Okay, panel, this is the eternal question. Are you ready to rumble? What is your philosophy? Cheap as possible with the highest quality, or do you buy the best quality because it'll last longer?
You got a mic on the right there, and here's another one on the left. And next questions, please come up to the mic in the seat. There is no
If you're using price to evaluate the property, you're probably doing it wrong.
No, I'm talking about, okay, excuse me. I should have been more specific.
Furnishing for the people in the short-term rentals to use. So lowest, right? Do you go lowest, highest quality at the lowest price? Like diet and things like that, or if you spend the money, go for it, and for furniture and whatnot, so it lasts longer.
Spend some money.
I'll just repeat the question. This was specifically about furniture for short-term rentals.
So specifically, like beds, don't cheap out on beds.
Need to build that CR to get heads in the bed.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like spend the equal amount of money on everything. But beds make the biggest impact. If you have a shit sleep, you remember it, so it really affects reviews. Towels is another thing. So there's a few particular points that really lift the grade of your property. Towels, a little bit of a nice amenities, but other furniture doesn't really matter, as much. Tracy?
Know who your customer is. Like, find your ideal guest, know what they want, and the design for them. Don't be generic. And I think that's, like, pick a lane, dive into it, because, and also pick something that is going to pop off the page. So you want to appeal to your ideal guest, whoever that is. So if you're running a dormitory, be cheap. That's fine. But if it really depends on who you're trying to sell to.
Yes, don't be cheap on the furniture. Buy it recycled, but have a good kind of view of the space that you're trying to design and try to furnish. Is like, if you spend a little bit of time buying like high-end used furniture, they will last forever. And like there are ways to get around it without breaking the bank, but you pay with your time, I think. Yahoo auction.
Question from the stream: are there areas in general that may not be as good for investment? I see lots of beautiful traditional old style homes in Niigata. Yes.
So I'm a big infrastructure guy. And right now, I mean, Myoko's popped off, so that's like a good example. It can work. But I also really like easy wins. And so when you're talking about Niigata, when you're talking about Yukiguni, like snow country and things like that, despite the fact that there are totally opportunities there, especially for first time investors, if you're not prepared to manage the environment that you're purchasing in, not to mention the transit infrastructure up there as well. And certainly there's Shinkansen and things like that, but just local trains, winter roads, stuff like that, especially in particular, managing the snow that accumulates on your roof. If you're not ready to do that, you really shouldn't be touching snow country, which is why I kind of tend to go down south.
I'll just quickly jump in to say that investment is a very big term. If you want a salaryman to be renting the property out long term, maybe, I don't know, out in the rural areas of Niigata is not the best idea. If you want to set up an Airbnb hospitality ski property, maybe it is. So investment depends on what kind of investment.
So I do long-term rentals, and where I like to invest is I look at the population. So people think about like, okay, Tokyo, but Tokyo is very, very expensive. So I like to go Itto Sanken. So Tokyo, but Tokyo is big. You can go Western Tokyo. Houses are a lot cheaper, but you can still charge pretty good rent. I live in Yokohama, big fan. Yokohama it's the second biggest city in Japan, but houses are much, much cheaper than central Tokyo, like around this area. Chiba, closer to Tokyo, southern Saitama. I really like those areas because, still within 60 minutes of Tokyo, lots of people are still moving there. Things are being developed, and you can still charge good rent. So those places, you won't have issues finding long-term tenants.
Yeah, we'll have a microphone in the middle. So please, anyone with a question, just line up. That might be easier. Ziv is already skinny enough, and as you said,
He's gonna eat.
Shit. Well. Oh, well. So based on, I guess, what Shu was saying too, we talked with the mic. Sorry, we talked about Psychoto. That's not. So we talked about the areas like Chiba and whatnot, and what you're looking for.
I will, if I can just jump on that briefly, because I do have some investor clients or even people looking to buy their own family home. And again, this discussion is largely in Tokyo. In general, you look at the more attractive the property is, the higher the chance of capital growth. So when you have a high chance of capital growth, people are willing to pay a bit more for it and thus accept a lower rental yield. Whereas if you want a high rental yield, if that's your investment focus, to attract a buyer that out far away, the price has to be low and has to be a high rental yield. So it depends on whether you want yield or capital growth, because they're different sides of the same coin. You cannot get high capital growth expectation and a high rental yield as well. The market just won't allow that to happen. So it really depends on what you are looking for and what stage you are in your investment cycle. So you asked, is it the location, how far from the station? In general, it's age, size, and location. Age and location rather. If you're in central Tokyo in Azabu, just 3-4 minutes from the station, the yield is very low, but expectation of capital growth, like Anton put up a chart earlier of like all the big red spikes we're getting. That's in Minatoku. All right, properties are double the value as they were 3 to 5 years ago. Rental yields are only 2%. So the mortgage is you have to pay extra to cover it. It's negative cash flow, but you're getting double the value in terms of capital growth. You go further out, if it's less attractive in terms of age and location and the quality of building, the yield is going to be great, 6, 7, 8, 9% yield. But the capital growth is not going to be there. So which is better? Generally, people choose somewhere in between those scales. You can get 20% rental yield if it's something out in Sapporo, 30 minutes from the station, an old shack falling apart. There we go. Yeah. And then there's a risk of it's hard to do that. A property that's 10 minutes in middle of Azabu, it's going to get rented before the person even leaves. So there's a range, and you need to find the right property that matches your particular needs. Maybe, and what I find is based on your age and life cycle, like investment sort of stage, if you're, in your 30s or 40s and you have employment and you're receiving income, you don't need your property to cash flow, right? I've got enough income that I can pay it off. I want to grow my net wealth for when I retire. So I want the value to increase. Whereas someone who's in their mid 50s or closer to 60, maybe they want to quit soon, like stop working or reduce their work hours. They want something that just cash flows, and they've got savings they've got built up over the years, and they want to restructure their assets to a more cash flowing property. So there's no what is the best kind of sweet spot. Really, that sweet spot changes depending on your particular needs. But in general, the more attractive the property and like the nicer, like in terms of newness and age and low risk of vacancies, that means there's more capital growth expectation. And so the yield will be low versus if it's further, less attractive, a bit far away, yield is high, but don't expect so much capital growth.
Renting out to Japanese people and to the normal families, they usually look for properties that are 10 to 12 minutes from the station, proximity of convenience stores, supermarket, and possibly a school. That's the easy answer for those of you who fall asleep during that.
I'm talking to the engineers, the engineers and the finance guys. That's my crew.
He's too smart.
So I own rental properties, mostly in Yokohama, and I help others buy rental properties around Tokyo. And what I've noticed is that, and I'm going to talk about cash flow. Does that mean I'm getting older? I like cash flow. Yeah, I like to invest for cash flow.
It's a different strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like to invest for cash flow in Japan. Yeah. So appreciation, if it appreciates, for me, it's like icing on the cake. So I like to go for cash flow. But what I noticed is that it's not that much about the distance or how close it is to the station. It's more about how close it is to amenities. And also if there's a bus or something that takes you to a major station, that's easier. That's a bigger factor, in my opinion. And if there's a parking spot, that's a whole different game. It's so much easier to rent a house with a parking spot.
I'll just caveat that Shu, because Shu deals with houses. If you're dealing with condo units, which are singles or couples without children, then they're not going to have a car. They don't care about the parking. They would definitely want to be within 10 minutes to a station. So families, single tenants, couples all have different requirements.
Yeah. Well, I'll share. I was going to share this in my talk tomorrow, but I'll share stories about my rental properties. So last year I had 3 rented, and the first house was the closest to the station, Kamioka. Do you know where Kamioka is in Yokohama? Yeah, it's a pretty major station. And the second house was also the closest station, was Kamioka, 22 minutes, pretty far. The first one was 8 minutes, And then the third one was 12 minutes to another station, Minamiota. And guess which one rented fastest? Depends on the property. Yeah, I didn't share that much. Yeah, they were all single family, older, distressed homes that got renovated. The second house, the farthest from the station, and that didn't have a parking space, but 1 minute from the property there was a bus stop, and then that took to Kamioka faster. And around there were 6 convenience stores. So I was actually pretty surprised, but that's what, based on 3 that from my personal story, personal portfolio, that's what I found. So I think people look for amenities closest to like restaurants, convenience stores, and bus stops.
One question from the stream. What are the top 3 factors you consider when choosing a location for a minpaku or short-term rental?
Top 3 factors. That's a tricky one.
Location.
Well,
Question is about
it
location.
depends on who you are and where your business is, and it depends on who you're serving. Like, for me, I'm looking like the top 3 factors is, because I do rental arbitrage, so I want to be making, I want to see that the data is showing that I'm going to cover all of my costs within the first 5 days of a projected rent. So, there's a lot of properties that I could get, but they're too expensive. People are like some, when it's very hard to find a landlord who will rent to someone who wants to do minpaku. And they sometimes take the piss because they're putting a ridiculous price on a property that's pretty crap because there's only so much, you can't really, polish a turd sometimes. So I do turn down a lot of deals if I can't see that I'm going to make the money that I need to run my business within the first 5 days of what the data is telling me. I don't do it. So, yeah, for me, I know my business, I know my customers, I know what I can sell. So that's what I look at the numbers. So
Right. So I'm operating in Kyoto, so it's a little bit different. I think it's very different depending on which city you're in. So Kyoto's geographically pretty tight. Location is definitely the most important. As soon as you cross the invisible line, the occupancy just falls away and the price falls away. So profitability doesn't, it's very difficult to generate. Next one is size of the property. So if you can get above 80 square meters, it makes a huge difference looking at the data. For reference, we're managing 65 properties. And then the last one will be the quality of the renovation. If you can have features like an outdoor bath or something, it really makes an impact. But if you just toggle the price, you can kind of make up for the renovation and just find the right ADR level to book.
Yeah, exactly like Tracy and Chai said. Location is everything, but I think also adding some kind of uniqueness to the property. And if you have something that stands out, it can be anything. Just bring whatever you like, and whatever is not on the market can be like, I don't know, outdoor bath, 7-meter ceiling heights. You can have a beautiful, I don't know, a plant that no one else has, and that's the main feature of the house. As long as you style it nicely, and as long as you make it into a feature. So I think it's about standing out. If you look at the Airbnb and you got to look at the comps, what else is out there? If there are 500 beautiful machias, why are they going to book yours? Like, what's your unique selling point? I think that's, if they are, yeah, look at the numbers.
Hello. Question for Blanca. So, our house in southern part of Saitama, we want to do some renovation and add like a small, like a sunroom on the terrace between the second and the third floor. Are we at the mercy of those new laws, those new regulations that you mentioned during your presentation?
Actually, yes, I think so, because you are 3-story,
Mm,
right?
yes.
So your house is already bigger. So I think, yes, you will need to, and you're going to be changing some structural things. So I think you might need to apply for permission at this point.
What do you think the chances are of them not giving us?
I don't think they'll be really giving you not because your house is in a great condition. So then depends how, like, if you're gonna be putting roof, you have to check that the sunroof is like not gonna fly away during typhoon and stuff. Because they do, I know, like in Tokyo here, they actually don't give permissions for some of the sunroofs or like gazebos and stuff on taller buildings because of that. So you have to also submit the plans how you actually gonna be holding that and what's the construction gonna be on that for them to give you the permission. So it depends on what you're gonna plan, how you're gonna plan it.
But if we do it well, then it's just a matter of paperwork. It's
Yes, and then it's a matter of paperwork.
okay.
And just to add to that, this is like not the rooftop, the second little
Between the second floor and then the roof, when you go up those stairs, you've been there.
Yeah. So that in general, I think even regardless of the new rules, if you are creating another enclosed space and there's a roof, then you're adding footprint to like a floor, like extra size of the building. So in Japan, often, sorry, it's going to bore you, be nice, yeah. So when we talk about, there's two numbers. Often when you look at properties in Japan, it's called the Kempeiritsu and Yosekeiritsu. Kempeiritsu talks about the percentage of building footprint you can have on the land. So if it's a 100 square meter block of land, 60% Kempeiritsu means you can have a 60 square meter footprint of the building. And then the Yosekeiritsu talks about the total space of all three floors. So if it's 150%, you can have 150 square meters of house. Depending on your limits, then if you're already at the maximum capacity that you can build of floor space, if it's 150%, you got a 150 square meter house, you're not able to add an extra roof. So that will be the limit when you do the permit applications. You're not adding footprint, so that's okay.
It's already a usable area. We just want to put a glass roof on it so we can use it during the rain.
Yeah, the moment you have a roof on it, the moment you add a roof, you're increasing maybe 5 square meters or 6 square meters. That's going to add, if you have 150 square meter property, it's now 156. So that may go beyond the regulation. So when you apply to City Hall, it's beyond building ratio. And you can do that calculation very easily. Just look at what your current square meterage is and what of the land and the house, and just say, this is how much I'm built to the maximum ratio or not.
I'd prefer to outsource it to you, Emil, actually.
Done. I think that's what you do with most of your properties anyway. So thanks, Rob.
If you can leave the mic with Blanca for a moment. Blanca, from the stream, how much have building materials gone up recently, and what are your projections for this year?
20% up in the past, I would say 3 to 4 months. Yes, when it comes, especially when it is to flooring, well, basically almost everything. Wallpaper didn't go that much, but also went up about 10%. But like some of the floorings and stuff, it's in general, it's about 20%. I'm kind of hoping it's not gonna go more up, but we don't know at this point what's gonna happen tomorrow. So I don't know, but it did went 20% up. No, it's not the demand, it's the inflation and all the additional cost that comes with it. Low weekend, high gasoline, all that stuff, like the additional cost. So it was 1st of December, I think, was the biggest hike. 1st of December was the 20% in general. And yeah. So considering it's already 4 months, I'm expecting something's gonna happen very soon again. It never goes down.
Guys, if you have questions,
doesn't
we'd
happen.
appreciate it if you could
You know,
come to the mic
the-
because people can't hear you.
Yeah, the prices once they take them up, they don't usually put them down. So yeah, it's gonna stay. It's gonna stay.
same question, but do you think it's a good time now to buy real estate, or where do you guys now you all sit and are in real estate? Where do you see the future of real estate in the next 10 years or 5 years?
Buy. Always buy.
Buy.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Well, the best was yesterday, but you already passed that.
True. Thank you. Another question I also have is for the short-term rentals. Do you find there's a sweet spot when it comes to short-term rentals in the price of the property? Because I mean, you have all the cleaning fees and so on. Is there like an apartment size you look for when it comes to that, or do you wanna trade those up to bigger apartments as you go forward?
Yeah, I've done the numbers a lot. I don't do one room. I don't do one. It just doesn't make sense for me because of the way we operate our business. We don't have a massive amount of automation. We meet every customer. It's just not how I run my business. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking at 3-bedroom and up.
Yeah.
That's for me personally, but everyone's different.
Yeah, my answer is a little bit different. We have like 3 different classes of properties that we manage. We call it like standard, premium, luxury,
Okay.
and it's about 30,000, 50,000, 110,000 a night. So if I answer the question from that approach, which class is making the most money?
Yeah.
It's actually the top one.
Top one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the renovation was about 70 million on the top one, and it's currently for sale for 280 million, but
Wow.
it's making the most money on the initial investment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fewer bookings, the more money. Yeah. But sorry, Anson.
I think it's about like what Trace has been talking about all the time. Who's your end customer? If you are used to serving like groups and families, and then you start hosting party people in Shibuya and like Dogenzaka, I think it's gonna take a lot of energy and time away from you for a very little return. So I
Yeah.
think it's about where are you going and where do you want to go and what are you already doing. And if you spread yourself too thin, I don't think it's worth it. Especially if it's already working, why shift it too much?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to add something to that, in that there's a lot of players coming in at that 30,000 level, and I see a lot of price pressure down. If you can afford it, if you can get into it, go premium, go elevated, because there's not that, like, you'll be out there on your own. I've just launched an elevated property that is 120 a night. I'm full for the next month, and that's like there is no shortage. It does take a lot of courage to go, oh my god, I've invested so much and this is just huge, but I'm seeing the numbers that I'm seeing are exceptional.
Tracy, if you could hang on to the mic. Question from the stream: essential tech tools for first-time short-term stay property investor.
Depends how many channels you're going to do. So if you can get onto my seminar from October, onto my video from October, I go through all of the different tech that's out there. I do think that when you get in, plan for longer term so that you're going to be multi-channel. So if you're going to be multi-channel, then you need a channel manager, you need a property management system. Whether you go with owner res, the standard ones that are out there. So that's Guesty, Logify, Owner Res. Get into a channel manager. They're all pretty much the same, but but it will allow you to list on multiple channels, and just so you don't get stuck in that Airbnb vortex.
Sorry. Well, my honest opinion is use a management company because it's going to cost you more if you're operating 1 or 2 properties, and a professional is going to do it 20% better anyway, and you're going to pay a 20% fee, and therefore you get the whole service for free.
So I started with manually blocking the schedule between Airbnb and Booking.com, and you don't want to do that. when I had my first double booking about half a year ago, I got a channel manager, and I've never been happier.
Challenge. That a person or a tool?
Well, it's a software tool.
A software tool.
I can't hear you, Trace.
Channel Manager is a software tool, and there's a bunch of them out there. But it just makes sure that you have like a central command post. But as Chai said, like, this is our bread and butter. We do this. We look at a channel manager every day. And like, if you've got one property, you want to list on Airbnb and Booking.com, or you need a channel manager, but then just get a property manager who will just like put you into their system, and then you're off to the races.
Is it like culturally accepted here to have like a contactless check-in, or are you finding that with the short-term stays you have to meet each guest for each individual property?
We do, but that's an investment that we feel has worked for us. But having a a contactless check-in is totally fine for people. As what you do that as well. You do contactless.
It's
I
actually
think it's like an added layer of value.
it's not allowed in Kyoto.
Oh, you have to
Yeah.
meet everybody.
Yeah, so a
Oh.
lot of regulation in
Mm.
Kyoto.
No, we just prefer it because when we find that it's our customers are flying in, they're overwhelmed, they're tired. They get to a property, they're in, and then they start pressing buttons. What does this do? What does that do? They break things. But the other thing as well is that we find that when we meet guests, they're stressed and their cortisol is up. But when they see a friendly face, it makes them relax, and it makes them feel comfortable. We get better reviews, we get less damage, and also when they have a human face. But we're high end, right? If you're just renting a cheap room, contactless is totally fine. It depends what your business model is.
Right. What sort of average stays length do you guys have?
Depends on the season. I'm 5 to 7 days on my short term. Yeah.
We're also about 5 to 7 days. And exactly like Tracy said, I think it's a service. People have been traveling for 15, 20 hours. They're spending a lot of money to like stay in our properties. And for them to have someone to come and greet them, just explain a little bit about the area, where's the closest convenience store, just like easy things that are atarimae or like just obvious for us that's been living here is very refreshing to see people come here as well with big blue eyes and very excited about being in Tokyo. So I think it's
The other thing is that they don't look for problems. When they're happy, they're looking to be impressed. They're looking to be relaxed. If they're tired and grumpy and whatever, it's like they start picking things to pieces. So there's that too.
And so one more question. How do you hear about like large developments that might affect occupancy or capital gain in certain areas?
Developments that like positively impact or
Yeah, like positive.
yeah, I guess there's some in Kyoto at the moment going on, like behind the station. Yeah, you can stay on top of that and try and pick the next trend, or casino in Osaka or Expo or whatever. But really it depends. I mean, our market's Kyoto, so we're kind of looking more at like timeless tourist sites and access to those and things like that.
I think like reviews is everything really, like for your properties. So it doesn't really matter what happens. And also right now, like the boom in tourism, like even if you have a shitty short-term rental, it might be booked,
One quick one from the stream, and then we'll continue with the room. Shu, somebody wants to know about your particular business model. Specifically, do you serve a lot of Australian, New Zealand clients. Are you a real estate agent, a registered real estate agent, or do you facilitate sales by connecting people to third parties? And how long have you been doing this?
Okay, that's a load of questions. Okay, what was the first
Well,
one?
keep it short.
Yeah. First of all, I'm not a licensed agent. I took a test last year without studying, so that was not that was not good, and I failed. And I publicly talked about it on my channel. But I just like you, Ziv, I'm an intermediary, so I basically connect the dots for our clients. And most of our clients are Americans, I would say. I don't know if I like the way I talk. I learned how to speak in the U.S., so maybe that attracts Americans. I don't know. But we do have Australians, not a New Zealander yet. So yeah, if you're a New Zealander, please contact us. Yeah, yeah. So North America, majority. Some Canadians, Singaporeans, some other Southeast Asia countries, some Europeans, but majority of them are Americans, I would say. And how long have I been doing this? So I started investing in the U.S. real estate market first. And when I first started my channel back in 2022, late 2022, that's what I talked about. So I don't know if you've seen my videos, my earlier videos. Like, I'm Japanese, I live in Japan, I don't invest in Japanese real estate. So that was my catchphrase. And I think Anton like made a comment. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, Japan's great. Like, and yeah, I started to meet people who are succeeding in this market and quickly changed my mind because I am Japanese and I speak the language. I live in Japan. That's an advantage. So I wanted to get to know more about the real estate here. So I've been investing in Japanese real estate for a year and a half. So very shallow, but I have helped over 100 people buy properties, houses in Japan in the past year and a half as well. So we want to help more. So Brett and I, we started a new venture, Akia Hub, and that way we can actually serve more. He's building the system so that we can actually serve the people that come to our way. With my existing service model, we could only serve up to like 100 people a year, right? And that's a lot. We're working like very, very hard every day, but we want to serve more. So that's why we started this business. And he's going to talk more about that tomorrow. So be sure to come back and listen to that. Did I answer all the questions? Okay, great. Oh.
Hello? So we get the question a lot about area. It's like, oh, I'm from here, I'm from there. It doesn't work. We have 83 countries out of our community so far. We have 3,482 people from 83 different countries on Akia Hub. So it doesn't matter where you're from. Like, you can invest in Japan and you can have a piece of an amazing property.
Hi, I'm Kristen Jasinski from the Sunshine State, Naples, Florida. I've been an active real estate investor for probably 30 years, also with some history in Japan. But I'm really, first of all, for those of you investing in short-term rentals, I've been in short-term rental space for a long time. I'm very seasoned with it. Um, Make sure you run your numbers and compare it to 2019. I think Japan is a little bit on the COVID Kool-Aid still, with the weakened yen. And the real test is how well a property can do beyond this tourism boost, right? And I think also it's important to, if you're investing in short-term rentals, that you need to really build a volume of properties, whether it's managing properties owned for others or if it's managing your own book of portfolio or a combination thereof. A volume of property is really important because the technology has gone crazy and it's really hard to manage. So that's coming from 20 years worth of experience in the industry, and it's the same the world around. But my question is, I'm trying to get a handle on, for those of you who know the U.S. real estate market, and the procedures in terms of how do you know you're buying property at a reasonable price? Does the appraisal system work? It seems like the MLS is very maybe fragmented here. So that whole aspect of valuation of property, is there something like a public records where you can actually go into public records and see whether or not what a similar size property traded for recently in that area, et cetera, to know that you're getting not just a cheap price, but you're getting a fair price for the market?
That's a very good question. We get that a lot, especially from Americans and even Australians. There's lots of data on sold pricing. We don't really have that mechanism formally in Japan. Agents are meant to, like, we have one MLS called Reigns, where all the agents are meant to put up their listings, and then when they're sold, they are meant to update with the sale price. Generally, though, it's not updated. So the real information on sale price is very limited. That said, there are lots of records that archive the listing data. So you know what properties have been listed historically and at what price. And you'll see, okay, this property was listed in 2020 from, January, February, March, April, and each 2-3 months, there's like a 1 million yen decrease, right? $10,000 sort of decrease in price. And then it's off the market. You can just presume that roughly the final listed price is about what it is, because it's very common that properties are listed, like again, this is for Tokyo for the most part, and I'm guessing a lot of major cities actually. The listed price is kind of the accurate market price. There's not a great deal of negotiation down to a massive degree, but in the same way, I don't think I've ever really seen prices per properties bought above asking price. So if there's no battle. Like there's one property that we are making an offer on. It's about 132 million yen, and our guy's offering 125. And I've said to him, look, if you want to lock it in, you offer 132, and then they won't accept any other offer. People don't come in at 133, 134, 135. It just doesn't happen. So the asking price is the set buy it now price for the most part. So that's why if you look at the data, the most recent listed price is probably the accurate one. So when you want to look at are you getting a good deal, that's the data that you look at.
So are you assuming that so they're marketing it as sold, but they're not telling you how much it's sold for? But considering the custom that you don't really wheel and deal a whole lot here, if it's sold, you're assuming it's sold pretty darn close to what the final listing price is.
Yep,
Right.
correct.
Okay.
And even a lot of the data, they'll only be, on a 100 million yen property, maybe 2 to 4 million yen, maybe 5 million yen difference if it is discounted. I've never seen it sold, like the ones that do actually update the sale price. I've never seen one that said it was sold higher than the ask.
Right.
And generally within, 2 to 5 million yen cheaper than the asking price, maybe 800,000 yen cheaper. That's about it.
Very well. Thank you.
Is what you're looking for kind of like a Zestimate, right? The equivalent of like the value, the current market rate of the property.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not when you say Z estimate, are you looking for like Zillow
The
pricing?
Zillow, like how Zillow does it.
That's complete garbage, But if somebody's actually a professional real estate broker or a real estate agent in the United States of America, you can go in and you can do searches and you can say, okay, how much did a 3-bedroom property in
this
such
area.
and such neighborhood
Yeah.
actually sell for within the past 120 days, 180 days, whatever. So, does that actually exist in Japan?
Yeah.
And then even more so, like public records. Can you go to the Kuyakusho and find out how much that property sold for?
So
Can you go to a government entity and find out who owns the property?
So So exactly what you're looking for doesn't exist, but we are building it because that's one of the number one asks for people that have, particularly when they have experience in the States, is how do I do an actual appraisal myself? How do I, like, especially agents that are used to doing that? And what we've done so far is, if anyone's familiar with Joey and Take from Akiya Mart, they've been aggregating data for around 2 years, a year and a half now, and it's getting to the point where the data is enough to start making those approximations and see the properties just like you were talking about. Not that they sold, but they listed, they dropped price, and then they went off market. It's a good indicator that they probably sold, and the massive data is enough that we can start having really educated guesses, and we're working on a tool between both of us actually to be able to do exactly that. So 3 to 6 months.
Rains, the Realtor National Database, will have some comparable info, but not all properties make it there. So you'll have some data. Sorry, we got to be out of here by 6, so we'll take one more from the stream and one more from the room, and the rest will have to wait for tomorrow. I'm sorry. So just one from the stream. This is a question, I think mainly for Tracy, but please, everyone else chime in. Owners who want to use a property part of the year as a holiday home and have it available to rent minpaku or monthly throughout the rest of the year. Any tips on how to make it smoother / profitable / not hassle-some?
Just manage your expectations, I think. You know, put a value on that lifestyle as well. You know, you've got the value of using your own property when you come to town. How much are you saving from using your own property? You know, what is the joy that it brings you? So value that into your expectations. If you're looking for pure yield, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. So, but if you want to make, you know, cover some costs, you want to, you know, make sure the house is used, then that's a better way of managing, and everything else then is cream. So that's would be my tip. If you go for monthlies, then there is no central marketplace for monthly rentals. So you really just have to, you know, take what you can get basically. And then, but don't expect it to be full all the time. If you do really want to yield, then get a license. No other way.
Yeah. So we do manage these kinds of properties where the owners want to use them, and our personal policy is that that's fine. We do suggest that they refrain from coming in the peak seasons because you basically get you know, most of your revenue from a couple of months a year. Some of them listen, some of them don't. But we do have a policy where, you know, you own it, you can use it if you want. But they kind of go into groups. Some people who are just buying a house that they really like and disregarding the profitability. So, you know, the house may be cheaper then, but it doesn't yield that much. They don't really mind. Basically just covers the bills with, you know, whenever they can rent it. Or people are really focused on profitability. And we find that those people, they initially intend to use the property, but they rarely ever come. So, hope that answers the question.
Last question from the room, and then we got to be out of here by 6. I'm sorry, but please, Karen.
Hopefully this is not too open-ended a question, but for those of you who are managing a portfolio of, let's say, short-term, mid-term rentals, what are the challenges you're running into using multiple channels to list the properties? Because I heard a comment earlier that was surprising that, you know, you ran into a double booking. I'm assuming you're all using software tools to manage it. What are the challenges even when using the software tools to list in multiple channels?
I'm dominating the whole conversations. I mean, just having the right software and knowing and like being in it every day, being, you know, being familiar with the bells and whistles that it offers, making sure your connections are up to date. Booking.com is a beast. And so you just have to be careful with that. But, you know, setting it up correctly from the start means that that all the channels just tend to work together. But some of the channel managers don't have direct linkings to all of the different OTAs that are out there. So, you know, I personally can't list my properties on Marriott Homes and Villas because my channel manager doesn't connect to that. Is that worth it for me to go through the pain to change to a different PMS to do Marriott Homes and Villas? Maybe not. So it's just a matter of deciding which channels you want to work with and seeing which ones are bringing you the most revenue.
I'm still curious how you wind up with a double booking.
Oh, that was me. That was because I did not use a channel manager. And that was the trigger to me start using one as well. And I haven't had anything like that happening before since then. Hello? What?
Sorry, I was going to say, if you have a good channel manager, you shouldn't have a problem. But then I was thinking a little bit, and we have had the channel manager fail on a few occasions and let through double bookings. So it does happen, but it should happen very rarely.
One quick comment. So we were talking about in the United States having all of this rich data to do like estimates and stuff. Just a reminder, there are some non-disclosure states, so it's not perfect coverage. So there are certain states where you don't have to list the sale price.
Like there are some municipalities who go out, like every time you buy a property, they send you like anketo. Yeah, questionnaire in order for you to like list the price that you actually purchased the house for. But it's not like, I think it's only like 10 or 20% who actually sends them in. So the data there is some data, but it's definitely not accurate. And if you want to learn and get to know what your neighbor's house sold for, the best way is to just ask them. Yeah. Really, like that's, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Big round of applause for our experts panel.